Good day. I hope everything is doing great. We're here live from Diamond Mountain Retreat Center. It's a pleasure to be here. What a beautiful meditation we just had with Janice. What a beautiful opportunity to rejoice about the fact that we have leisure and fortune to be here listening and experiencing these teachings. And without further ado, I want to present to you and I want to introduce to you Geshe Michael Roach, our dearest teacher, for another wonderful and beautiful day here at Diamond Mountain Retreat Center during these Lambrim teachings.
Hello. Good. Okay. Good morning. Nice to see you. So we're going to start the actual Lamrim. And I was working on it yesterday. And I was studying when did we start it. In case you're curious, uh, I found a record, Rob. We started on the last day of 2010, December 31st, 2010. Yeah, in Prescott. And I actually, anyway, okay. Uh, the first class was December 31st. And So there are 24 original days of teaching in the original teaching. And we did 21st, 2nd, 3rd, and sorry. Yeah, we did 21, 22, 23, 24. We finished the meditation part and we finished the emptiness part. And then we started at the beginning and started to go through the Lamrim. And we're about to hit the last day. Okay, we're about to start the last day, which is like 22 or something like that. And we've done 46 retreats in 14 years. Yeah, cool. And I was checking to see if we went to Tsongkhapa's famous book on emptiness, instead of doing more Lamrim on emptiness, I was checking to see if it would take much longer. And they're about the same length. Okay. So if we do emptiness from the Lamrim Chemo, the big Lamrim, or we do emptiness from his famous teaching on Nagarjuna and Chandrakirti, it will take about the same time, which is 9 years. Okay. So then so I thought you could come to the nursing home and visit me. And, it's about yeah. So I don't know if you're up for it. I'm okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. That book is a commentary on Chandrakirti, who lived about 1300 years ago, and he wrote a book called Entering the Middle Way. Entering the Middle Way, Madhyamakavatara. And in this case, Middle Way is a nickname for a book. Yeah, it's the root text of Nagarjuna. And it's his most famous book called, sometimes it's just called Wisdom. And people have made the name longer. And I think Nagarjuna didn't want them to make the name longer. he was like a rap artist or something. And no, his poetry is very, very beautiful, very short, and very mystical, and very deep. And so, and we've been doing another commentary by Choni Lama in the fall. We've been reading Choni Lama's commentary to Nagarjuna. So I thought we could just keep doing that kind of thing. It's like a potent, when you get cancer really bad, they start injecting stuff into you every morning, a mix of stuff. Like you get cocaine, morphine. It's like that. So you'll get an injection every couple of times a year. And I think it'd be nice. So we can keep going through. We're almost done with Choni Lama on the original root text of Nagarjuna. And then we'll do Chandakirti. So his entering the middle way is entering wisdom, the book called Wisdom. So when they say middle way, in that case, it means the book called Wisdom, Prajna by Arya Nagarjuna, which is probably the greatest book on emptiness ever written. Chandakirti is the second greatest book, and Tsongkhapa's is the third greatest book. So you're going to get all three. And I think it's awesome. I think it'd be fun. And I'd like to do that. So you actually don't have a choice. Okay. And we'll just see how far we get. Okay. So I'm going to pick up in the long rim of Pabonka Rinpoche. And there's a deep connection with Lojong. So Pabonka Rinpoche's, there's a person who was recording his teaching, and that was Trijang Rinpoche, Kyabje teacher Rinpoche, who's the junior tutor of the Dalai Lama, and he's the teacher of my teacher. So this book that we're studying now, I think it's the greatest book ever written in Tibetan. And Tibetan language has now been destroyed. So I don't think there will be any more books of this quality. The language has been destroyed. So nobody speaks Tibetan anymore, except me. That's kind of funny. I was in, Geshe Lothar was doing a long life prayer for me here, and I got a gallbladder attack, and I was lying on the floor in great pain, and I said, Geshe, I gotta go to the hospital, which is 2 hours away. And he's like, just wait, I want to finish your long life prayer. And I said, I'm gonna be the first person in history to die during their long life prayer. And it's really cute. Then I went to, they took me to the hospital, and I had an operation. And when I woke up from what do you call it? The drugs, and I looked, and there's a Tibetan woman leaning over me, and I'm like, wow, And I said, what's your name? And she said, I'm Sering, which means long life. And that's the name of the dog in how yoga works, right? So I'm like, of course your name is Sering, and then I said, who are you? And she said, I'm your doctor. I said, of course, yeah. And I said, how many Tibetans are in Tucson? She said, 2. And I'm like, of course, And so we were, she was telling me, we started talking in Tibetan, and she says, you have a perfect Lhasa accent, and they don't exist anymore. Nobody can speak it anymore. It's dead. In some countries, it sounds like one language, and in another country, it sounds like a different language. But nobody speaks pure Tibetan anymore. And so that book you're studying today, it is the greatest book ever written in Tibetan. And it's probably the last one ever written in pure Tibetan. So it's a beautiful, the writing is extraordinary. And so if you're interested in Tibetan, it's a good book to learn Tibetan with. Okay. And Word Smith has been teaching some wonderful classes. I don't know how he teaches Tibetan, but the people who study with him learn faster and better than my students. So if you're interested, these classes are free a couple of times a week, and you can learn. It's beautiful. I encourage people to read Tibetan. You can learn Sanskrit. I learned Sanskrit. It took 12 years with a great scholar, and I don't use it. I never use it because 99% of the books were destroyed in India around 800 AD. So there's not, you can learn Sanskrit, but there's no Sanskrit to read. It's mostly gone. We're studying a little bit in the mixed nuts in the Shensong Tower classes. If you're interested, those are Seiji's new classes on the Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, which is a really good way to learn Sanskrit. It's excellent Sanskrit by Shantideva. So we do have that Sanskrit. And I've been teaching that Sanskrit. And Christina Kasika, where are you? She's been leading a class in Sanskrit after that every week, I guess. Starting in June of this year. Okay. Okay. But she's Harvard trained Sanskrit person, so not as good as Princeton, but it's okay. And all right. So this is like the great. So I'm gonna read the Tibetan just to get it into your brain. We only have one more day out of the 24-day original teaching. I average 2 retreats per day. So we can finish probably this year, Tim, I don't know. And then we can go to Tsongkhapa's book on emptiness, okay? And then personally, as you may have noticed, I'm not in any big rush. I just enjoyed reading it together. And so just relax and enjoy. The nice thing about Lamrim, you don't have to study. You just have to be open. And it will get into you whether you want it or not. Okay, all right. And I'm gonna use some idioms. Idioms are pictures to remember the ideas of the book. So I have pictures that help you remember the points in the book, okay? I call them idea images, which are an idiom, not idiot, idiom. Okay, all right. So here we go. And Tim, you guys got the Tibetan up there? Okay, good. Lama lama gadan lojong la tawa dan tenshi ki labja sum nyamba memparcha. Lama lama means keep up your affection for your teacher. Okay, and I've been in the Dharma business for 50 years, and I've seen all kinds of students, thousands, and some are a pain in the ass, and they're always like, "Oh, lama, lama," and then they don't know how to wash dishes. And then there's other students who are just like, "Hi, Geshe Michael, let's do something cool," and they do wash dishes, and so I kind of prefer that kind, and I think it's healthier than this, super prostration thing, and I'd much rather have my dishes washed than get another tired rose. Okay, but both are okay. And no, you should offer things, but small things. I don't need money. I don't need things. Okay, I got so many things in my house. It's trouble for me to keep that out of my house. So, but serving at Diamond Mountain, helping here, that's great. Stuff like that. That's great. So have a nice relationship with your teacher, fun relationship. The reason you have a teacher is you're bad. Okay. So don't be disappointed if you don't act nice to your teacher. Okay, it's normal. Okay, if you didn't act bad towards your teacher, you wouldn't need a teacher. You understand? So don't get all. It's one thing to be bad to your teacher. It's another thing to feel bad that you're bad, and at least just feel good about it. And you're okay. You're okay. That's what. So no student can ever really serve their teacher properly, or else they wouldn't need a teacher. See what I mean? So just do your best and have fun, and you'll do a lot better. Okay. Lojong Lartoa, and by the way, everybody has a big mess up, can I say? And don't worry about that either. Okay. In their life, in their Dharma life, you will have 2 or 3 very special mess ups. And don't worry about that. Don't worry about that either. Okay. We all have had special mess ups. Okay. And just you can brag about it in the hell realms. My teacher was giving us diamond way vows. It was in Alexandria, Virginia, I remember, in this wealthy lady's house. First of all, the lady offered him the house, and he looked at me, and I'm like, and we can sell it, and then he's like, nah, you keep it, I don't need a house. And then we were making dinner together and cutting stuff and vegetables. And then she said, so you're giving us diamond way vows today? And he said, yep, that's what we're doing. And she said, well, I heard something about that. And he said, what? And she said, I heard if you break those vows, you go to the lowest hell. And he said, that's true. And she says, well, wouldn't it be better to not take the vows and not go to the lowest hell? And he says, oh, you're going to the lowest hell anyway. Everybody is, And then she's like, she had this look on her face. She was a professor somewhere. I won't say more because you'll figure out who she is. Then she's like, and then he says, yeah, when you go to hell and you meet everybody else who's there, you can say, I'm not here just because I killed people or stole things. I'm here because I broke my diamond way vows. Anyway, so have fun with the Lojong. Tenshi ki labjasua means, try to remember what you hear in the class. And it's nice here during retreat because you can tell everyone's trying to control themselves after class. Like at the cafeteria, everybody's like, you take first, and then, you get on the plane and you forget everything. So, but try your best to, take what you hear and then go use it in the cafeteria and see if it survives the drive to Tucson. All right. So he says, focus on these 3 things. Have fun with your Lama. Enjoy the Lojong and try to remember it when you get home. Okay, that's all. Okay. Then he says, and did you show that picture of the lady? I guess, I don't know. Yeah, that just means enjoy the meal. Okay, enjoy the class, enjoy the Lojong, enjoy the taste, and don't get too serious on me. Okay, it's real. I've noticed the very serious people usually fail. Okay, so just relax. If you can laugh at yourself, you're halfway there. Okay, and you are funny. Okay, all right. Next picture, you guys. Yeah, this represents your 3 doors. What are they, you guys? For $0. Body, speech, and mind. Yeah, I told Aldo he looked more wealthy this morning. So he's probably taking people out to dinner for the next couple of weeks, so, in Guadalajara, right? He says, "Lunga yisum telwa mashapa gewalaku." Delaware Mashakma means you were given a body, a mouth, and a mind when you entered this life. Use them. Okay, use them. And these are called the three doors. These are the only way you can express yourself. Okay, you can do things for other people with your hands. You can say things to other people with your mouth. And most importantly, you can think things about other people. So he says, Delwar Mashak, but this is the Del that you find in Delnjor. What's that? Yeah, leisure and fortune. So Del here means leisurely, and it means don't let your body, speech, and mind just sit there. Use them. Okay. So that this Del doesn't quite mean the same as leisure and fortune. It means I'm slowing down, translators. I can see you're stressed out. Okay. That's a good idea to put them here in front of me. Sorry about that. Yeah, Delwar Mashakpa means don't let them just sit there. Use them. You were born with a body and you were hands, and you were born with a mouth, and you were born with a brain. So use it. What? Gewala kul. Kul means to take. Did you ever work with donkeys? I mean real donkeys, not. So I was a Boy Scout in Arizona, in the mountains like this, and we had mules, and we had to load them up and take them on 5-day hikes and stuff. And they are really stubborn, and you can't stand behind them because they'll kick you and break your leg. And they just won't move. You know, you whip them, you beat them, you yell at them. They're like, and remind me of a lot of students I've met. So don't let your mind and body just sit there. You know, say, come on, let's wash dishes this morning, and your body will be, I don't know, you know. And cool means I don't know, get it to do something. Get the donkey to do something. Okay, all right. Luki gewani chakor so kyangba minki. This is a beautiful sentence, and I don't know how long it took Chujang Rinpoche to write this lecture down, and I'm not sure the lecture was as good as the writing, but it must have taken him 10 or 15 years, and that's why I think he was made the teacher of the Dalai Lama. That's why he was given that position, because it was so amazing. The book he wrote down was so amazing. And here's a typical, you know, we call one-liner in English. It's like a single sentence that you can carry for the rest of your life. Okay. Luki gewani chakor so kyamba min. Physical good deeds with your body, it's not restricted to chak and kor. Chak tsel and neten korwa. Chak tsel means prostration, and korwa means to walk around a holy place. Okay, that's tradition. We should walk around these stupas. Okay, people are like, what's a stupa for? I said, nothing. They're like, what? Well, you can walk around it. Okay. And it's a good custom. Okay. So he says good physical karma is not limited to prostrations and walking around holy places. Rather, he, okay, Tim, at the end of a phrase, it means but, or rather, right? Rather, lu duglu chambor sangwat sunkyang. If you talk about virtue or good deeds of the first of your 3 doors of expression, which is your physical body, he says sitting up straight is a good deed of physical body, because your prana will move. Your prana will move better. Okay, it's very interesting. Everybody's like, I knew it was coming, so I said it before. Okay. Chambo Sang. So Chambo Sang means just being mindful of how you sit, especially that you don't do this thing. I have a friend from Rimrock, a new friend from Rimrock. who tends to sit like that. You gotta, keep your back straight. I like to sit on the edge of a chair. I don't like to sit like, like this. And then it'll help your prana. And that helps your mind. Okay, it keeps your mind more clear. So your practice will be better if your posture is good. Okay, and he says you don't have to be prostrating to do a physical good deed. You can just sit up straight. And that's a physical good karma, to sit up straight and remember to sit up straight and keep the prana moving smoothly. And then you can focus better, okay? And it's healthier. By the way, it's easier if you're not overweight. It's hard to sit up straight if you're overweight. So, we can talk about that someday. But there's easy ways to not get overweight, and then you can sit better, okay? All right, do look tumber somewhat. Sun here, Tim, means sun means starting with that and then going higher. Okay, yeah, sun means start with that. Luki gewa, that is a good karma, a physical body. You don't have to give money. You don't have to, I don't know, save a person in a car accident. Sitting up straight because you want your prana to flow smoothly is already a good karma. Okay, and you can make good karma just sitting there, which is, we need all the good karma we can get. So if you can make some extra good karma just by sitting straight, then let's go for it. Okay, all right. Next picture, you guys. Yeah, and this is, I don't know, this part is really cool. He's heavy into Lojong. And by the way, Chijang Rinpoche was big on Lojong. And I was reading his biography. He wrote a beautiful biography. And one of my teachers, Sherpa Rinpoche, who's in the Vajrayogini lineage, Tenzin Chinle, he translated it into English. So if you have time, it's a beautiful book. It's the biography of Chijang Rinpoche. You can read it on, you can buy it on Amazon. And he taught this Lojong several times in his life. He did long teachings on the Lojong of Seiji's book, The Crown of Knives. And there are beautiful comments about it. He made beautiful comments about it. He was in Tibet during the Red Guard time. He saw 1 million people die. And he was kind of in charge of the government, or he was one of the top people in the government. So he watched 1 million people die. And he talks about it in Lojong. He says, we have to apply Lojong to this. We cannot hate other people. We have to practice Lojong. And it's amazing that a person who went through that, who saw 1 million people die. I saw some of those people, and it's amazing to think that he wrote this Lojong. He wrote down, he was practicing it all day. He was struggling not to hate people, and it's very powerful. Lojong che yu dra dan yen she risu chepadang. He said, as soon as you distinguish between dra and yen, okay, what's dra chomba? Enemy destroyer, arhat, right? So dra means enemy and yen means friend. And he says, as soon as you distinguish between people you like and people you don't like, your Lojong has failed. Okay, if you're in the Lojong business, and you can say, I prefer this person to this person, you already flunked Lojong. Okay, and we all do that, and you can't help it, and I can't help it. But we have to try, right? We have to try. That's Lojong. That's training the mind. Semjong. Okay, so Dana Nyenshe Risu Chepa means to, what do you call that? Segregate, or to, what do you call that, Haggerty? This my friends, these are my not my friends. Bias, all kinds of bias, right? Prejudice is anti-Lojong. Okay. Risu chepa and semchen dan semchen mimbala sopa. So sometimes semchen means living being. Sometimes semchen means suffering living being, meaning non-Buddha. And then sometimes in colloquial Tibetan, semchen means animal. Okay. So what he's saying here is it's also against the Lojong if in your practice you distinguish between animals and humans. Okay, and that's very powerful. You know, that's very powerful. Nobody would think to go to the grocery store and ask for human fingers for hors d'oeuvres. But we consider the body parts of animals to be products. And he says that's a kind of bias. You know, everybody who has a body is a equal in the Lojong. Okay, that it doesn't matter if they are animal or human. We have to treat them in the Lojong. You have to treat them equally. Okay, you can't eat the fingers of one and not eat the fingers of others. So it might be easier to just start eating human fingers, right? Okay, and I believe that in, I don't know, 10 years, 50 years, it'll be disgusting to order animal parts at a store. You know, people will be shocked if you mention it. It'd be like going to the grocery store and asking for somebody's fingers, you know. Okay. Chogri micheper jongwa. Chogri, don't be prejudiced between animals and not animals, and don't be prejudiced between people who hurt you and people who help you. Lojong is for everybody. Okay. Tete yu tamche la kyaba lo tingne jongwa chepa chekawa darka. Yu tamche la kyaba means your Lojong practice has to be universal. It has to cover all living things. Okay. Tingne means from the bottom of your heart. Njong is the verb. Okay. Do your Lojong. Njong means jong it, get better at it, keep practicing. Okay. Jong, by the way, Lojong, jong, it implies two things. Number one, you don't have it now, so you have to jong. Got it? It means practice. So you don't have Lojong naturally. People don't have Lojong naturally. It's something you have to develop. And it's called developing the good heart, right? That's how we translate it, Lojong. You can call it mental training. I object to that translation. I think it sounds like a prison camp where they're trying to brainwash you. It sounds like brainwashing. So it means to develop a good heart. Okay. Jomar Chepa. Chekawa Targa. Chekawa lived 1101 to 1175. He was a famous Geshe, old time Geshe. Nowadays, Geshe is a degree title. In the old days, it meant a great personal master of somebody. Okay. And he's an interesting Geshe because about 400 years after Lojong started, he let it out to the public. He opened it to the public. The Lojong Dunduma, the 7-point Lojong, okay, which is what we're studying in this Lamrim. Okay, and so he's special, special Lojong practitioner. Why keep it secret? Peacocks, good answer. Who said that? Sometimes I don't make a bet, and a person gives an answer that's worth a bet. So $100. Yeah. You can take me out to dinner in Tucson. Okay. Don't forget your teacher. Okay. Yeah, he's the one who let out the Lojong. Okay. Yeah, and if you, I like this peacock thing because sometimes, or not sometimes, I avoid trouble. Like there's a situation in the organizations. We have 41 organizations, and there's always trouble somewhere. Sometime the trouble rotates around to different organizations, especially financial. And grandpa follows the trouble, and I like to avoid it. I like to say, give me a break already. Give me 6 months off without fundraising. And I'm like, but if you're a peacock, you're supposed to look for trouble, and you're supposed to follow it. So I don't know. It's kind of a curse. If you get in the Lojong business, you have to follow problems, and you have to look for problems, and you have to stand up whenever there's a problem, and you have to say, I'm here. Okay. Okay. Put some more fundraising on this old bald head, and you got to look for problems, and you got to step up. And those are the poison that the peacock eats. Okay. So if you're going to be a Lojong, by the way, don't decide easily to be a Lojong practitioner. You might want to say, I'll do it next life. Okay. I promise, Dishla. Look me up. But if you want to do it in this life, you gotta be a peacock. And I think it's difficult. It's hard. It's tiring. And every time you get on top of it, there's one more problem. And then, you say, hey, I learned how to deal with 300 people's problems. And then 301 shows up. And you're like, okay, I'll take care of you too. And then I think you have to understand emptiness to survive as a peacock. Okay. Which means you have to understand that every problem you ever encounter is coming from you, or you will break down. You won't be able to handle all the problems. We had a suicide yesterday in town here, a young man that we were trying to help, and stuff happens. And you do your best, and you try hard, and try to help people. And I think if you don't understand that they are coming from you, you will break down. You won't be able to handle it. Okay, so I think if you're going to be in the peacock business and you're trying to help all these people, then you have to understand the pen, and you have to understand that this person came from you, and that it's a reflection of you. And if you understand that, then you can then you don't run away from these problems. It would be easy to ignore buoy. It's so eminently ignorable. It's hard to even notice it when you're trying to. If a lot of the buildings weren't burned down, you wouldn't notice it. But a peacock has to pause and stop and say, what can I do? How can I help? And then you don't always succeed. Okay. And you can't give up being a peacock. Okay. And the way to survive as a peacock is to understand that it's coming from you. Okay. And that's the only way. And if people haven't had that training about emptiness, you should keep the Lojong secret from them. You should not teach them Lojong, because then they'll try to help too many people and they'll break down, and then they'll be the next victims. Okay. The only way you can keep up the demands of a peacock is to understand that this stuff is coming from you, and therefore it's much easier to fix. You don't have to fix all the messed up people in the world. You have to just fix that one messed up person. Okay, which is more doable. Okay. Let's see here. There's a photo of the young man. Is he here? And if you'd like to pray for him, his name was Manny. Okay. Next picture. Dynamite. Keper dala sepaso kewa kekawa dan yunyamba. Lama pama shakrok tabula sudkune ting jongbar gom. Jongbar gom means I want you to practice your lojong, keep up your lojong practice. Keper means especially with da, with enemies. Okay. What's the Sanskrit for da? Ari, yeah, Ari. Who said Ari? I don't know if he's worth $100. Okay, $100. He usually takes people out to dinner pretty easily. Yeah, Ari means enemy in Sanskrit, and hat comes from the verbal root han, which means to kill. So Ari han or Ari hat, Arhat means enemy destroyer. Okay. Han Juan came into English as gun, in the word gun. Okay. Comes from the same root, hut. Okay, so anyway, your Lojong practice, you have to emphasize your enemies, which means, I mean, practicing Lojong is kind of like schizophrenia. You know, you're like, God, this person really irritates me. Yeah. So I should spend more time around them. Oh, not again. You know, you know, you're like, can't we just do Lojong next month? You know, do we have to? And then your heart is like, yeah, we have to. Lojong is for enemies. You know, you can't practice Lojong if you avoid your enemies. You have to sit next to them in the kitchen. I mean, in the cafeteria. Now we'll see who sits next to who. Okay, so just kidding. So get going. So it's difficult to be patient towards your enemies. Yul Nyamba. Then he says people who are, so you have to be especially careful in Lojong karmically with people you don't like, and then with people that you are close to. So your family members, people you're working with in whichever of the 41 organizations you're in, okay? People you're close to. Then he says Pama. Yeah, mother and father. I won't repeat the famous exam I had. Okay, I was trying to learn Tibetan. I was trying to get into a Tibetan class, and you had to do an oral interview to get into the class, and you had to know some Tibetan. And my Lama, one of my teachers wanted me to get in, and I just started Tibetan like last week, and he let me come into the exam, and there's this big Geshe there, and my teacher said, okay, we're going to ask you some Tibetan words. If you can give them to us, you can join the class. The class was Shantideva, by the way, 50 years ago. And he said, you ready? And I said, yeah. And he said, Pa Ma. And I'm like, Dad and Mom? He says, pass. So Pa Ma means your parents, okay? They're important Lojong objects, okay? Be careful around your parents. Shakrok means roommates, okay? Shak is the Tibetan word for, especially for a monk's quarters, okay? So roommates, people who are in the same group of monk cells in the monastery, okay? Shakrok tabun, surdakul. Tim, there's Surkul. Do you guys know Surkul? So there's 5 great books in the Geshe course. They take 25 years total. You spend the first 12 years in one book by a Sangha. And that's the one that Tim's translating. His book is about, it's about 3,000 pages in Tibetan, which is 24,000 pages in English. And he'll be an old man by the time he finishes. And those commentaries to Maitreya, Perfection of Wisdom, they are so huge that sometimes they have babies and they have surkul. Surkul means extracted topics. So you take special topics and you extract them. One of those extracted topics is the wheel of life, for example. In the original text, it's only one line. Okay, it's only a single line. And then you take it out and you make a whole 500-page book about it. Okay, so that's called surkul. And here you see it used colloquially, which is one of the great things about studying this book. Okay, you'll see surkul used in common language. Okay, and you can go ahead and close that if you need. I know you have a bad cold. If you want to, okay. So surkul means to take it out and treat it separately. Okay, here it says, treat your parents, treat your lama, treat your roommates, treat your enemies with special care. Okay, special. When you're doing Lojong, these people get special treatment. Okay, take them out of the other people and they get special treatment, either because they are high karmic objects or because you hate them. Okay. Hopefully there's nobody who's both. All right. All right, next picture, you guys. Tim, when do I have to shut up? 7? 715? 715. There's a countdown. Oh, duh. Okay. All right, cool. We'll do Q&A the last 15 minutes, okay? So we'll stop in about 15 minutes. Okay. If you have any kind of question, I don't care. That's what the Geshe course is all about. We learn to debate for 4 or 5 hours a day. So I like embarrassing, difficult questions, okay? So feel free, okay? Okay, next picture. Yeah, this guy. Deyang Sega Sok Tunken Zoma Zoma Matupa Gomale. Don't let your Lojong practice be affected by your personal circumstances. If you're broke that week, your Lojong should be rich. If you're rich that week, although your Lojong should be rich, okay? So your Lojong is rich no matter, you got money this week or you don't have money this week. By the way, as an old man, I'll tell you, as soon as you think you have money, it goes away. And, and every time you think you don't have money, some comes. So don't get too worried about it. Just keep your Lojong steady, okay? And don't worry, either you die or you'll get some money. So either way, it doesn't matter. Okay, then he has a quotation. I love to find quotations. I couldn't find it. It may be just some oral tradition or something, okay? Lojong nime treze chebe suk. Gangen talked about say tamelwa shepataber masong. Lojong means if your belly is full, okay? Nime treze means, and when you're sitting in the sun on a cool day, it means when things are going well. Your belly's full and the sun comes out on a cloudy day. Chupet suk means you look like a practitioner. Okay, Che means Dharma, Chepa means practitioner. Okay, Dharma person. Then King In talked about, say, when some crap comes up in your life, suddenly, Tamelwa, you lose your spiritual appearance, and then you're like, shit, Okay, he says, don't be like that. Okay, don't be happy when stuff's going well. It never lasts. And don't freak out when stuff messes up, because that doesn't last either. Okay, just when you've been in the Dharma business for 50 years, you'll figure it out. Bad times don't last forever. We had terrible times here, and good times don't last forever. Just keep us steady. Lojong means keep a steady attitude, keep a steady, sweet attitude towards everybody, because the bad stuff will pass and the good stuff will pass. So just stay steady. Taba Masawacha. Tare ke gala tunche we chanchu ki sem gomba sok kyang rang she ki tunyi du che de che ki sen di be che de chawa mirikte. He says the reason you are sitting here in a Lam Rim class is to learn something higher, and don't drag the Dharma down to your daily business. Okay, like keep it higher. Let the Dharma stay higher. Don't turn Dharma into a business. Don't turn it into a day-to-day thing. Okay, let it stay high. Keep it high. Okay, use it to help people, and don't use it for making money or lower purposes. Okay, it's not that it's a bad karma or something like that. It's just not. It's like putting the king in pink tennis shoes or something. You know, it's just not appropriate. It doesn't look nice. Okay, can you imagine King Charles in pink tennis shoes or something? Well, maybe him. But you know, don't use the high dharma in some kind of stupid to make some money or something. It's not. It doesn't fit. You know, okay. All right. Then he has a famous. There's a famous little in that box. You guys, can you scroll up a little bit? Yeah. Next life rather than this one, Dharma rather than the world, feeling towards others rather than the book. Okay. This is a famous Lam Rim maxim. Okay. Sendile chima, jitenle che she dip shen chepala, lojong gomba tsor che gopayin. These are the three maxims of the Lojong practice. Okay. Number one, you won't have trouble using Dharma for this life, like to make money or something. You won't have trouble with this problem if you don't think about this life. Okay. If you're focused on your next life, if you're focused on what happens in the big picture, you won't sell Dharma or something, because this life, money is for this life. Okay, whatever money you happen to collect in this life is canceled when you take your last breath. Okay, and it doesn't matter to anybody anymore. Okay, so if your focus is a bigger focus, you know, like I got a million lifetimes, I got to work, you know, I got to help people for a million lifetimes. Then you're not going to be so worried about one little 100-year period. You know, you're not going to think so much about it. And then it won't even occur to you to try to collect money during this 50 years or 25 years you have left. You know, what's the point? You know, you got billions of lifetimes to work on. So what's the point of trying to collect a few $100 more? Although, no, I was kidding. Next life. So if you're focused on all your lifetimes, you won't have this problem of taking money too seriously, because it's gonna leave you anyway. There's a joke in Tibetan. Yeah, the money will have to look for a new owner, you know. Oh, Stanley died, really? Where's his bank account gonna go? I don't know, I'll have to look for somebody else. You know, bank accounts are always losing their owners. You don't think about it. Bank accounts are lonely people. They have to go look for new owners every couple of years, you know. So, okay. So if your focus is on all your lifetimes, then you're not going to take it so seriously about the money in this life and stuff like that. Then you will not tend to corrupt the Dharma and use it for something in this life. Okay. Secondly, Dharma rather than the world means if you're faced, I have this every morning. Every morning, I feel like a cute girl in high school. People attack my I don't want to say virginity, but people attack my time. People want my practice time. Really, seriously attack, like terrible attacks, and not very nice sometimes. And they're like, you gotta meet with me right now. And I'm like, this is my practice time. I'm sorry. I don't do anything till 11 o'clock, you know. And then I get these vicious attacks and on my time, and I'm like, okay, you know, I don't care. Pull out as many hairs as you want. At this point, it doesn't matter, you know. So you got to protect your practice time, okay? And don't let people, you're not helping anybody when you give up your practice time, okay? Keep your practice time. I just tell people 11:01, my peacock door is open. You know, you can come and ask me to fundraise, and you can repeat your complaints about your partner for the 10,000th time, and I'm open, you know. But until then, it's dharma, you know, and I'm not open. Okay, so I think you gotta be brave and stubborn, and you gotta protect your practice time. Okay, and I'm a hard ass about it. I really am. And I don't see people before 11 unless they're dying, and then I kind of flip a coin. No. Okay, last one. He says Lamrim and Lojong is not a book. It's a feeling. Okay, Lamrim is not in a book. Lojong is not in a book. It's a feeling in your heart. Okay, so if you're looking for Lojong, it's not so much in a book. It's a feeling inside of your heart. Okay, that's what he says. All right, I still have time. Sen dile chima na jiten che chushe bedruf shen chebale Lojong gomba so cha gobayin. Okay, we covered that. We're going back to the Lojong Dunma, which is the 7-point Lojong that was kept secret for at least 300 years, 400 years, and probably longer. Some of the Lojong masters claimed that Lord Buddha started the Lojong and kept it secret. So that would make it 2,500 years old. But we're going back to the Lojong Dunduma, okay? And he's giving little hints about how to practice Lojong for the rest of your life. We're like towards the end of the Lojong Dunduma. Then we're gonna start the 6 perfections, okay? Now that we have bodhicitta, we can start the 6 perfections, okay? Now that we have the wish for enlightenment, we can start the 6 perfections, okay? So he says, kolok mija, say kolok, kolok. There's 2 goloks. There's a golok in Tibetan, which is a really weird warrior caste from East Tibet. They talk, you want fun, they talk really funny. So this is an old warrior caste in East Tibet. But this kolok, different pronunciation, kolok means don't do ass backwards. Okay, ass backwards means totally opposite. Okay, and Lojong is supposed to be funny and colloquial, so I can use bad language during Lojong. Okay, and but I don't mind if you don't tell my wife. So kolok means don't practice ass backwards. You know, don't get things backwards. Okay, don't do it backwards. Okay, that's Chekawa's advice, right? Chekawa didn't write it; he released it to the public. Okay, around 1100 something. Kolok mija. Then he says kolok truk. What's tundruk? 6-session yoga practice, right? So here, lok truk means 6 ass backwards. 6 ass backward practices, okay? There's 6 ways you can get it backwards, okay? 6 different ways. Kolok mija means here's 6 different ways I don't want you to get it backwards, okay? So here we go. This is where they snip out Geshe-la's talk when I say, don't do this, do the opposite, and then they cut out the do the opposite part and they post it online. You know, Geshe says, you know, don't mess around with your friend's wife. And then they cut out the don't. And then I like mess around with your friend's wife. Anyway, Chucky Jawala Ningru Kache mi super. Jitenki Jawala Kache super golong. Say super. Kolo. Super. Kolo. What's super mean? Patience, okay, patience. But it has a lot of other meanings, okay? So patience usually means not to get upset with somebody. But it also means to be able to do an extended task without getting frustrated, right? So be patient, it's gonna be over next Monday. You'll be on the plane happy with the refreshments. Those massive refreshments they give you. So sapa means don't lose heart, don't lose your spirit. Okay, so kawa means difficulty. Okay, when you have trouble with your Lojong practice, in English you say grin and bear it. It means okay, hit me again. Hit me again, hit me again, you know, and you're like, and your life keeps hitting you, and you're like, hit me again. You know. So kawacha, it means be a tough guy. Be a tough guy. Okay, life will keep hitting you, and then you know you get a big smash in your face, and you lose all your money in the morning, and then you're like, okay, hit me again, you know, and then you get a bill for something that you didn't buy. You know, in the afternoon. In the morning, you lose all your money. In the afternoon, they hit you again with this bill, you know. And kawa supakolok means be a tough guy about the right things. Be a tough guy about the right things. So some people, they'll be a tough guy about stupid stuff like fixing a car. You know, I fixed a car once for like 8 months, and that's also called sipa. That's also called putting up with it. You put up with it for 8 months fixing this stupid aluminum block Volkswagen Bochito, and you know, and that's a kind of sipa. That's a kind of patience. That's a kind of endurance. And he says that's kolo. That's asked backwards. That's not the endurance we're talking about. We're not talking about trying to fix a car for 8 months. And that's not Lojong. That's not Lojong endurance. Lojong endurance is to, I don't know, not get angry at your wife or husband after 8 months of abuse, you know, and you're just like, okay, you know, like that's Lojong. That's real. That's supa. Okay, that's patience. You know, they hit you. I mean, verbally, they hit you, and they're like, blah, blah, blah. You're like, okay, honey. Then blah, blah, blah. You're like, okay, honey. You know, and in 8 months of that, you're like, okay, honey. Wait, I didn't say anything. Okay, honey. You know, and you know, that's Lojong. Okay, it's not endurance when you're at work or something like that. It's endurance emotionally. It's endurance of your love for other people, and they keep attacking it, and you keep responding with love, and that's real endurance. Okay, it's not endurance to do the accounting of ACI year after year. It is a kind of endurance, but that's not Lojong. Exactly. Okay, second, we had 6, right? We're supposed to do 6. Let's start the other 5 tomorrow. I'm sorry, later today, right? Am I right? 2 classes, right? Okay, Q&A, we need that big box. Please don't hit anybody with the box. I get nervous when you guys throw it around.
Geshe, I have a question.
Good.
we were here in October, and the second war started. We had already the first one. We are here in April. The third war started.
Is there a third one? I don't know, but we'll keep our patience.
Iran attacked Israel yesterday. Does it work? So how we can use our time wisely? How we can use our time here wisely, you know, to maybe you have suggestions that we cannot think about.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'll repeat it. It seems like every time we have a Lamrim retreat here, there's a new war breaks out. And what can we do? Or how can we think about it like that or something like that? I don't think, I don't think in this case that we are purifying our old bad karma because we're doing such a good thing. You see what I mean? Sometimes when you do something really good, it burns off the crap of some old bad thing you did, you know? So sometimes when you do a really good thing, it wakes up bad seeds from the past and some disaster happens to you. I don't think it's that kind of thing in this case. I think it's just generally that I would say this. I mean, I grew up in 100 years ago. My dad had served in World War II, and he and my wife's father were alcoholics and messed up, really seriously messed up. And from the war, they saw war when they were 18, 19 years old, and they never got over it. And that was 100 million people died. 100 million people died. So, I mean, if you're a Buddha looking over this planet right now, we have the potential to kill billions of people in the next few days or something. It can happen. But in general, we're making some progress. And I think we don't think about it much, you know. For example, with starvation, when I was a kid, it was a serious problem in India, for example. And millions of people were dying. And now partly because of computerization of distribution, there's almost no starvation except for war. When there's a war, you know, they can't get food to people, but in general, the planet is holding steady, I think. And if you look at it from an old man's viewpoint, you know, things are messed up and there's a lot for us to do. But I think also you have to think about the progress and the things have, the Lojong still exists, the Lamrim still exists, you know, there's a lot of beautiful things going on. So I think you have to be a peacock and you have to stick your nose into it. And I was tempted not to, you know, I was like, yeah, okay, all my Ukrainian friends need some help. I'm busy, you know. So we brought 2 people and it was hard. It's really hard. Financially, it's hard. And you know, stick your nose in it and help. My brother went to Poland and made sandwiches. He made 300,000 sandwiches with the World Food Kitchen. And then his supervisor was killed last week in Gaza. And so, you know, if you're practicing Lojong, do step up, do something, help somebody. And if we all do that, we'll be okay. And the problems are huge, you know, thousands and thousands of people dying. And I don't think personally, I don't think it helps to try to think about how can I stop 10,000 people from dying or something like that. Let me help one or two people with my income and help them. And then if we all do that, I think we can improve things. So there's a famous story, okay? Every billion years or so, this planet melts. Okay, every billion years or so, there's an atomic war on this particular planet. And the whole earth is covered in fire, and all human beings die. All life dies. And then supposedly there's a God realm up above us, form realm, formless realm, desire realm gods, and the young ones who are only 800,000 years old. They say, wow, look, the earth is burning, it's covered in fire. And then the older deities, the gods, they say, they blow themselves up every billion years or so. Don't worry about it. It just goes over and over again, It's like, So I think when you get to my age and you've seen it so many times, and you just quietly work against it, and you can't get too freaked out. You can't let the fact that there's so much violence freak you out. You have to. I was in Vietnam. I was supposed to fight in Vietnam. I went to jail, and when you go there now, Mr. Bin and other people are so beautiful and friendly to us, and things change, and life goes on, and so we just have to keep doing what we can do to help. But I think if you worry about the whole, millions of people, don't go crazy about it. Lojong means start with the people around you, help, do what you can do to the best of your ability, and don't get overwhelmed by the war in this planet is nothing compared to the war going on in a billion planets, So you can't let it get you down. You gotta be a peacock today. And if enough people stand up to be peacocks, it'll just be. I did a retreat in Flagstaff. Veronica found me a cabin, a nice cabin out in the woods. And I sat down, to do a 3-week lay room. And then there's this like, and then like 1,000 voices. And I'm like, what's that? And I asked the owner, what's that noise? They said, they have a peacock farm next door. I'm like, I'm doing a 3-week retreat here. I'm sorry, you can't tell the peacocks to shut up. And so anyway, you just do your retreat the best you can. And the peacock, okay. All right, one more question. Tim, something?
So this is a question from online, and it says, dearest Geshe, too high. If I don't want to live billions and billions of years, I want to speed this up as fast as possible. How can I best use Lojong to do that?
Yeah, if I don't want to go through billions of years of suffering, how can I use Lojong to get things resolved quickly? Again, I think it's like Ina's question. I think you have to deal with what's around you and what's close to you. I think use Lojong. He said in the text, focus your Lojong on the high karmic objects around you, which means your teacher, your enemies, your close relatives, your roommates, people you work with every day. These are the peacock objects of your practice, okay? It's people you're around every day. They're not very exciting. It's not very glorious. And that's where you have to start. You have to practice Lojong with difficult people in your own life and right around you. And I think if you have an intention to overcome billions of years of trouble, you almost don't have a choice. You have to start with the people right around you and start with the high karmic objects around you. And those are your people you don't like, and parents, teachers, roommates, and people you work with. Okay, start with the people closest to you, and don't worry about billions. Start with 4 or 5, and what do you call it? There's repercussions in the billions of people. Deal with the 10 people you're closest to, and then the billions will take care of it. When we do a fire offering, that's supposed to be the intention. When the smoke comes off the fire and that fire is blessed, then you have to, that night when we do the fire offering here, hopefully we don't offer the whole land on fire. Then you think about the smoke going off into the sky, and sooner or later it will touch all people in this world. Sooner or later, the rice you throw on the fire is going to touch somebody in Gaza and Ukraine and wherever else. And so that's a kind of motivation you can have when you are practicing Lojong with the people close to you. Sooner or later, that smoke will touch all the people in the world. And that's the only way we can touch all the people in the world. So start with the people nearby. Okay, we're going to take a double pee break. Am I right? Pee break. We'll come back in how long? 30 minutes? Okay. Enjoy. Cause and effect.